It's 4 a.m. right now and we are in the Ampara district of Sri Lanka and the world is still fast asleep. It is pitch black outside, but the rubber farmer has started his day. What is up guys, and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I am taking you to experience the life of a rubber farmer. Today we are going to be joining Mr. Attanayaka, who introduced rubber farming to this region in Ampara known as Padiyathalava, and he has a 5-acre property here where he farms it in unison with his daughter and his wife. So I'm very excited to take you along and explore their day and learn more about their life. Padiyathalava is an extremely rural village in Sri Lanka which was known to primarily rely on chaina cultivation. However, 20 years ago, rubber was introduced as an experiment into this dry zone to see if it could yield more value to the farmers. Mr. Attanayaka and his family were the first in the village to adopt it on their land and were kind enough to invite us to their home to share their story.
මුලින් අපි පටන් ගත්තේ දෙන්නයි මේක මමත් එක්ක මේ මල්ලි කෙනෙක් පටන් ගත්තා ඊට පස්සේ දෙවෙනි අවුරුද්දේ 8 දිනක් පටන් ගත්තා. එහෙම වැඩි කරගෙන ගියා. හැබැයි ඒ වෙනකොටත් මේ අපිට අපේ ගොවීන්ට තිබුණ නැහැ මේකේ ලොකු දැනුමක්. මොකද ආදායම් මෙහෙම එනවා මේ වගේ ආදායමක් අපිට එනවා කතන්දරයක් දැනුනේ නැහැ. අලුත් වගාවක් නිසා කට්ටිය පොඩි උනන්දුවක් තිබුණා. මුල් කාලේ පස්සේ ඉතින් අපි කිරි කපන්න උනාට පස්සේ ගොඩක් කට්ටිය අවදි වුණා. මොකද ආදායමක් එන බව කට්ටියට තේරුණා. මේ එක එක දේවල් කිව්වා අපිට මේවා වැඩක් නැහැ මේ ගස්සල කිරි හැදෙන්නේ නැහැ මෙහෙ වියලි කලාපේ මේක නිකන් බොරු වැඩක් ඔය කරන්නේ මනුස්සයාට මේ මිනිස්සු ගෙනල්ලා එහෙම මොනවා හරි දෙනවා ඇති නිකන් මේක මම පාන කියලා එහෙම කතන්දර ගොඩක් තිබුණා. ඒවා මට එකක්වත් අදාළ වුණේ නැහැ. මේ මම ඒක අදාළ කරගත්තෙත් නැහැ. මගේ ගමනේ ඉතින් මම ඉන්සරේ ගියා.
Due to the very unique nature of the rubber tree, the rubber farmer's life does start very early in the morning, and this is because this is the best time to tap the rubber tree and yield the most amount of sap. And there's some very scientific reasons as to why this is the best time, but it is known that a cooler climate and a cooler morning yields the most amount of sap. Unbeknownst to Mr. Attanayaka and so many smallholder rubber farmers was the fact that they were growing organic rubber on their lands without fully understanding or capitalizing on the value of it. As these lands were farmed in the traditional way, there were no chemicals in the soil, making it an organic farm with little to no effort to do so. While rubber is used in a number of everyday products in our lives, as you've seen in our previous video on the rubber industry of Sri Lanka, organic rubber, however, has a very niche use case and is in fact even more sought after. One such use case is luxury earthform bedding. Very few of us really pay attention to the beds that we sleep on and spend 1/4 of our lives on. I mean, these beds are truly a constant in our bedroom, yet we've never stopped to consider how beneficial are they for our health? What goes into making them? Are there any harmful chemicals or toxins that are incorporated in them? And what impact does this have on our health as we spend 1/4 of our lives on these beds, growing, revitalizing, recuperating, and resting? Earthform makes 100% natural organic rubber mattresses that are not only extremely comfortable to sleep on, but are also really good and safe for your health because they are 100% natural and it's an organic material. You can rest assured that there is nothing harmful that is going to be released into your bedroom as you sleep at night. And my favorite reason is most definitely that it is a 100% Sri Lankan made product.
ඉස්සර ඉතින් මේවා කිරි කපන්න ඉස්සලා අපි හේන් හැදුවා. හේන් හදලා බඩ ඉරඟු කවුපි මුංගට ඒවා තමයි දැම්මේ. ඔය දවස්වල ගොඩක් මහන්සි. ඒ ඉතින් අවුවේ ඉන්න ඉපේ. මේවාට ඉතින් අවුවේ ඉන්න ඕනේ. පාන්දර අර නැගිටින එක තමයි ටිකක් ඉතින් 3:00ට 4ට කොහොමවත් අවදි වෙනවා. ඉස්සර ඉතින් ගොඩක් අමාරුයි. ඉතින් ගොඩක්ම දුෂ්කර මේ පාරක් නෑ. වැලි පාර තිබුණේ. ඉතින් පයෙන්ම පදියතලාවට යනවා අපි. කිලෝමීටර් 17ක්. අපේ ලොකු පුතා හැම පොඩි කාලේ එයාලා වඩාගෙන යන්නේ බෙහෙත් ගන්න. ෆයින්. කොච්චර දුක් විඳද ඉස්සර. ඒ අතින් බලනකොට දැන් කොච්චර හොඳයිද.
So the first part of the morning is completed and everyone is now taking a little bit of a breather. And something that I noticed about the family as they went into the day is that you'd assume that because they're a family, it's like a family activity and they'd be chatty and talking to each other. But actually they all go in their separate directions and they all mark a different area for them to attend to. And when I followed Attanaik, what I really noticed is that he has a very deliberate and intentional way of approaching every single tree. And when I spoke to him earlier, he mentioned to me how he considers every single one of these trees as his parents and he worships them and honors them. And that's why he starts the day by putting on some bana on the TV. Bana is a Buddhist preaching and he has a very meditative approach to cutting each tree. It's very intentional, it's very deliberate, and I can visually see that connection that he forms with every single tree that he cuts. And it's wonderful for me to experience that and to witness it, because you don't see people who have that visible connection with nature anymore. We're so detached from it, we don't see ourselves in relation to nature anymore. But through him, I got to see someone who is very strongly connected to these trees, and that's very inspiring for me. And talking about the very early morning, I must say that while it was very difficult to get up and get started, there's also something very special about being in the darkness and being so close to these trees and so within this nature, that it does something special to you where you don't feel as tired anymore, and there's like some sort of an excitement or good feeling that kind of makes you want to just be around this area. That's something that I noticed that I thought I would share. So today the family has collectively tapped 325 trees. So now they will take a little bit of a breather and rest while all the sap is collected in the cups, and then we will move on to the next step.
තාත්තා ගොඩක් ගොවිතැනට හරි කැමතියි තාත්තා. තාත්තගේ තාත්තත් එහෙම ගොවිතැන් කරපු මිනිස්සෙක්. ඒ නිසා මේ තාත්තා මේ අලුත් දෙයක් කරන්න ගොඩක් කැමතියි. රබර් ඇට ගෙනල්ලා මේ බිබිල පැත්තෙන් අපේ මාමා ඉන්න මෙහෙ බිබිලේ ඒ පැත්තෙන් මේ රබර් ඇට ගෙනල්ලා හිටවලා තිබුණා මේ වගාව පටන් ගන්න කලින්. ඒ දවස්වල නම් අපිට ලොකු තේරුමක් තිබුණේ නැහැ මේ වගාව පිළිබඳව මෙහෙම කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා. තාත්තලා පටන් ගත්තට පස්සේ අපිටත් ආස හිතුණා මේ රබර් වගාවක් කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා. තාත්තා හිටවපු අවුරුද්දට පහුව අවුරුද්දේ මේ මටත් අක්කරයක් හදලා දෙන්න කියලා තාත්තට කිව්වා. ඔව් ගොඩක් සතුටෙන් තමයි හදන්නේ. කියන්නේ අපිට දැන් තාත්තලා නම් හදද්දී ඉස්සෙල්ලාමනේ එතකොට තාත්තලාට වැරදිච්ච තැන් තියෙනවනේ. දැන් පැල ඔක්කොටම එක විට පොර දානකොට අර පොඩි පැලේට මේ වෙනම දාන්න ඕනි කියලා අදහසක් තිබුණේ නැණි තාත්තලාට. කියන්නේ පස්සේනේ තාත්තලාත් ඒක හඳුනාගත්තේ. ඒ නිසා දැන් අපිට තේරෙනවා දැන් මේ අපිට දැන් තාත්තලා කියලා දෙනවනේ මේ පැලේ පොඩි වේවට වෙනම පොර වටයක් දාන්න එහෙම කියලා දෙන හින්දා අපි ගොඩක් දැනුම තියෙනවා ඒ රබර් වගාව පිළිබඳ. ඒවා ඉතින් අපිට අත්දැකීම්.
And now our break is over. We had a lovely cup of tea, we enjoyed a warm breakfast, and we even roasted fresh cashews on a wood fire stove, and this has been an amazing little break. But now is the time where the amount of sap that the trees have been yielding start to reduce. So it's about a couple of hours, and so it's time to collect it. And what I noticed while collecting is that each tree, even though they're right next to each other and have been treated the same way, planted at the same time, are very much like different organisms with very different personalities and yield different amounts of sap at different times of their life. So one cup will be overflowing, whereas another one will be at medium or less. So all of that will begin to affect how much the farmer actually makes. Each bucket, as you can see behind me, Dhammika is collecting, is a 5-liter bucket. And of course, the consistency of the sap also contributes to how much the farmer is going to make on this yield. And of course, the global prices for rubber also come into play. So there are a lot of different factors that are going to determine how much the farmer is going to make for a set amount of product on a specific day. However, because organizations such as Earthform has set up end-to-end supply chains within its operations, farmers like Mr. Attanayaka can be assured that regardless of unstable market prices, their price for their rubber will always be met. And that is simply because of the immense value addition that Earthform has been able to do right here within Sri Lanka. And it's these margins that allow the organization to take care of all the stakeholders within the industry.
කැන අපි රජයේ රැකියාවක් කරා නම් අපිට පඩියක් හම්බ වෙනවා. දැන් මේක ඊට වැඩිය වෙනස්. සමහර විට පඩිය අපි කියමුකෝ රුපියල් 50000 කියලා. අපිට සමහර විට 75000ක් ලක්ෂයක් හම්බ වෙන්න පුළුවන් මාසෙකට. හැබැයි සමහර මාස වල අඩු වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. එහෙම ගැටලුවක් නැහැ. එහෙම අඩු වුණා වැඩි වුණා කියලා අපිට එහෙම ලොකු ගැටලුවක් නැහැ. මේ මොකද ඉතින් අර මේ මුදල් තියෙන තැනින් ඊග වෙනකොට අපිට පොඩි අඩුපාඩුවක් දැනෙනවා. නමුත් ඉස්සරහට තව මුදලක් එනවනේ කියන විශ්වාසයක් තියෙනවා. ඒක නිසා එහෙම ලොකු ගැටලුවක් නැහැ. දැන් රබර් ගහ නිසා ඉන්දියාවේ ගියා. කියන්නේ අපි වන්දනාවේ ගියේ. ඒ කියන්නේ වෙන අධ්‍යාපන කටයුතු. ඒක කරන්න වෙන්නේ මේ අපේ වෙන මේ ඉස්සර තිබුණු වගා කරලා නම් අපිට ඉන්දියාව යන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද ලක්ෂ 4-5ක් අපිට වේදම් කරන සල්ලි එහෙම නැහැ. ඒක එකක්. අනිත් එක අපි ලොකු දාන දෙනවා පින්කම්. අනිත් එක දැන් යාළුවන්ට උදව් කරනවා. මල ගෙවල් වලට එහෙම දාන ගෙවල් වලට එහෙම ගොඩක් උදව් කරනවා. ඒක එයාට ඒ පිටිපස්සෙල් බලනකොට ලොකු වැඩ කොටසක් කරලා තියෙනවා. ළමයින්ටත් ඉතින් අසනීප පිට වෙලාවල් එහෙම ලොකුවට අපි ගෙවල් දොරවල් ලොකුවට හදලා එහෙම පේන්න නැතුවට මේ ලොකු වැඩ කොටසක් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒක ගොඩක් සන්තෝෂයි. මොකද අපිට විවේකයක් තියෙනවා එකක්. හදිසියෙන් මේ අපිට මේ විවේක කාලයෙන් ගොඩක් ප්‍රයෝජන ගන්න තියෙනවා. දැන් මේ යාළුවෙක් බලන්න යන්න, මෙන්න ලෙඩෙක් බලන්න යන්න. මේ එහෙම ලොකු එතකොට දුවලග පුතාලා හම්බ වෙලා යන්න ඒ කට්ටියට ගිහලා කතා බහ කරන්න වෙනත් වගාවල් කරන්න මේ වෙලාව තියෙනවා. ඒ අතින් ගොඩක් මේ නිදහසක් තියෙනවා. ඔය ඒක වෙන වගාවල් වල එහෙම නැහැ. වෙන දෙයක් කරා නම් රබර් වගාව නැතුව එයාට නිදහසක් නැහැ. මොකද ඒක ලැබෙන ආදායම මදිනේ ජීවත් වෙන්න. දැන් අනිත් එක තව එකක් අපි අර ලැබෙන දේෙන් සතුටු වෙන්න ඕන. ප්‍රමාණය ඊට වැඩිය හිතන්න ගියොත් ඒක එච්චර හරි නෑ. ඒක නිසා මේ ඇත්තම නිදහසක් ලොකුවට තියෙනවා. ඒක ගොඩක් වටිනවා. නිදහස කියන එක මනුස්සයට ගොඩක් වටින දෙයක්.
Now it is time for lunch and Mr. Attanayaka's wife is cooking up a storm in the kitchen behind us. It smells divine and she keeps coming out and plucking little chilies and little spices from her garden, from her rations here that she's drying, and I know it's going to be delicious because a lot of these things she has grown herself. Today's meal is very simple. It is the kind of lunch that they would usually have on a regular basis: white rice, tin salmon and dal curry. So I'm very excited to try it because I know it's going to be delicious because it smells amazing. While Mr. Attanayaka's story is one of great inspiration, his daughter Dhammika, a single mom who has been able to raise her family of 4 thanks to this profession, was one that was even more heartfelt and inspiring to us.
දැන් අවුරුදු මෙහාට මං මේ ළමයි 3 දෙනාත් එක්ක මහත්තයා ගෙදර ඉඳලා ඇවිල්ලා දැන් අවුරුදු 13ක් වෙනවා මේ වෙනකොට. මේ තනියම තමයි ඉස්සෙල්ලාම නම් මේ කිරි කපන්න පයින් ආවේ ගෙදර ඉඳලා. කිලෝමීටර 1කමාරක් විතර තියෙනවා. පයින් ආවේ. ඊට පස්සේ පහු කාලේ ඉඳන් මං බයික් එකක් ගත්තේ. ඊට පස්සේ ඉතින් ළමයි ඉස්කෝලේට දානවා, කිරි කපන්න එනවා. ඒ ඔක්කොම වැඩ පහසු කරගත්තා මේ කිරි වෙලෙම තමයි අපි ගොඩක් දේවල් කරගන්නේ. ඕ ගොඩක් සතුටුයි. පාන්දර 3ට තමයි අවදි වෙන්නේ. අවදි වෙලා මේ කෑම ටික හදලා තියලා මේ ළමයින්ට ඉස්කෝලේ යන්න ඔක්කොම කරලා තමයි කිරි කපන්න එන්නේ. කිරි කපලා ඇවිල්ලා ගිහිල්ලා තමයි ළමයි ඉස්කෝලේට දාන්නේ. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි කිරි එකතු කරන්න එන්නේ. ළමයි දාලා ඉස්කෝලේට. ඊට පස්සේ ගිහිල්ලා ඉතින් පොඩ්ඩක් විවේකව ඉන්නවා. ඊට පස්සේ ගෙදර වැඩ කරනවා. ඔව් මේ ගස් කොළන් ඉතින් ඒ වවන ඒවට ගොඩක් ආදරේ අපේ ළමයිනුත්. ළමයි තුන්දෙනාම එහෙමයි. දුවලා දෙන්නයි පුතයි. ගොඩක් කැමතියි. අම්මයි තාත්තයි දෙන්නටම උදව් කරනවා 100ට යාච්චිටයි. ආවන් පස්සේ මෙහාට ආවන් පස්සේ දෙන්න උදව් කරනවා. දෙන්නම නෙවෙයි තුන්දෙනාම උදව් කරනවා. ගොඩක් දුරට මේ අපේ ළමයි නිතරම පාඩම් කරන්න එහෙම ආවත් වත්තට 100යි කිරියම්මයි ඉන්නවා කියලා මෙහාට ඇවිල්ලා පාඩම් කරනවා. නිදහස් තියෙනවනේ. නිදහසත් අර පරිසරයේ සිසිල් ගතියක් තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා ගොඩක් සතුටෙන් එයාලා ඉන්නේ.
This is the final stage of the journey that the farmer has with the rubber that they have collected and stored. This is the part where the collection vehicle comes and collects it, and here you can see these are very rural areas like I mentioned before, so you have smaller vehicles to go and collect it, and then they will meet up with bigger bowsers in bigger cities and drop off the load, which will finally go into Earthform's factories. One thing I want to mention that I really like about this collection team is that it's a family team, a husband and wife team that does the collection of all this region, and they even have their son in the vehicle with them who goes along with them.
He's very busy.
He's very busy, but I think this is a very good example of just how it can help families and create incomes and careers for these people who have children and they're raising them and they're very happy doing it. So it's something that enables people a lot. So all of the raw latex that Mr. Attanayaka as well as many other smallholder farmers have painstakingly collected on their early mornings have now made its way to the Earthform's centrifuging facility. And what you can see behind me here is the offloading of all of that latex into the facility so that the value addition process may now begin.
We are now at Earthform's manufacturing facility, and this is where the liquid latex that we have been following all this time finally begins to take form. So the substance that we are left with after the compounding process is very similar to a foam, and this foam is funneled into the molds that you see behind me and then sent off into the baking, or the technical term, the vulcanizing process.
Thereafter, the baked Earthform mattresses go through this state-of-the-art facility, which does its proprietary value addition, quality assurances and packaging before being shipped out to clients all around the world. What's happening behind me right now is a pocket meeting. Now these pockets are actually assisted and created by farmers that produce and sell to Earthform. And each pocket of farmers has a leader. Now here in this region, Mr. Attanayaka is the leader. He's also an elder and he's the initiator of growing rubber in this district, in this region. So he's somebody who has a lot of respect, is considered wise, and a lot of people come to him for advice. Now, the purpose of these pocket meetings and these pockets are actually very, very important because 5% of the rubber that is collected and created by Earthform's factory and then exported, 5% of that is actually left as a fund to enable solutions to some of the problems that these farmers come up with. And another benefit of these pockets are that the farmers are able to share their knowledge between distances around the island where they wouldn't be able to communicate with each other before, which means people like Mr. Attanayaka, who have a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge through their experience in the years, are able to share information with people who are perhaps across the island in a far-off rural place with very little knowledge and who wouldn't have access to this knowledge that he has had it not been for these pocket meetings. And I personally want to give a nod to Earthform for going the distance to really go far and wide to these extremely rural areas, not only just to create these pocket meetings that benefit everybody, but of course to work with farmers in these very rural areas. They send their collection teams all the way here, and when you use the word rural, it doesn't really explain how rural places like where we are today are. The roads are incredibly difficult, it's very hot, and there aren't a lot of people around in this area for, I think, many kilometers. But there is a source of living and there is a reason for people to stay here and farm here, and that is because of companies like Earthform.
මගේ අම්මයි තාත්තයි ගැන ගොඩක් ආඩම්බරයි. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ වගේ වගාවක් කරේ අම්මයි තාත්තයි දෙන්නනේ. ඒ නිසා මේ ගොඩක් සතුටෙන් තමයි ඉන්නේ. අපේ අම්මයි තාත්තයි ආයි පින් කරේ නැතත් හොඳ තැනක මේ හොඳ ජීවත් වෙනවා මේ ඉදිරියටත්. ඒ කියන්නේ අපේ ගමට දැන් ලක්ෂ 50ක් විතර ආදායමක් එනවා. මේ මාරාව ගත්තොත්. කිරි රබර් වලින්. එතකොට මේ ආවට ගම්මාන වලත් දැන් ගොඩාක් ව්‍යාපෘති වීගෙන යන්නේ රබර් වගාව. ඒ නිසා මේ තාත්තා නිසා තමයි හැමෝම රබර් හිටුවේ.
Something that has stood out to us time and time again throughout this industry series is the importance of value addition. Sri Lanka is a very small island, but it is blessed beyond belief when it comes to producing some of the most amazing resources and really able to make a living out of it and make income from it. But the issue arises with our limited amount of space. We can't really imagine competing with countries like China or Indonesia or Africa when it comes to tea or any of our other industries, coconut, rubber. And what I've learned throughout this series is that we do have a way of competing, and that is simply through value addition and leaning into the fact that whatever industry that we are creating in, we're always creating extremely high quality output of whatever that resource is. Whether it's coconut, whether it's rubber, whether it's gems, whether it's cinnamon, whether it's spices, we're always able to, because of our fertile land, create extremely high quality resources. And I think that leaning into that aspect, the fact that Sri Lanka is a place that you come to for quality and not for volume, is something that we need to encompass going into the future. And this is where companies like Earthform really shine. They're using a resource that is widely grown around Sri Lanka, like rubber, but they're collecting the organic version of it, and then they're able to value add it and create an amazingly high quality product that is in demand around the world, and are able to sell it all over the world and create a really high income from it. And not only benefit themselves, but also to have that benefit trickle down all the way to the farmer at the very beginning of this process. That to me is really a successful cycle, and it is a model of what Sri Lanka should probably consider going forward when working with these industries. Because it's time that we realize that we don't have to be like every other country, and we don't have to perform like every other country, because we're not like every other country. What Sri Lanka has and what Sri Lanka is a very special combination of things, and we need to lean into our strength.
මොකද අපි ඉපදිච්ච ප්‍රදේශයේ හැටියට අපිට ලැබිච්ච සම්පතක් තමයි. දැන් අපිට නගරේ එහෙම ගිහිල්ලා ඉන්න බෑ. දැන් අපිට පාරක් අයිනේ නිතරම වාහන යන පාරේ කරනවා නිින්දයක් නැහැ. මොකද දැන් මෙහි අපි නිස්කලංකවනේ ඉන්නේ නිදහසේ. වටපිටාවේ අපිට ලොකු නිදහසක් තියෙනවා. මේ එකට වැඩ කරා එකට කාලා බීලා එහෙම ඉන්නවා සතුටින් ඉන්නවා. ඒක මම හිතන්නේ මේ හැමෝටම නැතුව ඇති ඔය කතන්දරේ. මේ ඒවත් ඉතින් පෙර පිං වගේ තියෙන්න ඕන සංසාරේ. එහෙම ඒක ගැන ගොඩක් සන්තෝෂයි.
Filming this video has brought us so much joy just in being able to see how much fulfillment a farmer in the most rural parts of Sri Lanka can have. And while this is not the story of every farmer, it is very encouraging to see the potential that this niche of organic rubber is able to provide to the farmer. Very often we use products on a day-to-day basis without really thinking about how these products came to be, and even talk about industries without really understanding the grassroots level people who make these industries move. And the farmer is someone just like that, so important to our day-to-day lives in so many ways, yet also undervalued so much, that I think this is why it gives me great joy to bring you this series and dive into the life of farmers in other industries, because it's really time that we look into these important, pivotal people in our lives and really learn something from them and understand what life is like for them, and hopefully even be able to improve their lives at the end of it. So with that, thank you so much for watching this video until the end. I hope you guys enjoyed meeting Mr. Attanayaka and his family and learning about their lives as much as I did. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.